So, Tara, second session.
Yes, hello.
Nice to have you on again. Um,
No, thank you. Thank you.
I feel like this is like for me, it's the last like busy activity led week
Yeah.
before I think most people on this call just don't want to hear from us coming into next month. I think as soon as that December number 12 month kicks in, it's just like don't even talk to us, Buildxact. So this is
Yeah.
a useful one. Guys, for those of you that are on, and I always say this, I'm sure if you've heard me on this before, you'd get sick of this question, but please let me know if you can actually hear me. We did a webinar before, and yeah, we didn't turn the chat on. So I think it should be okay. Just pop in a chat if you can hear me. Yeah, brilliant. Awesome. Kira, I remember you on there the other day. Um, awesome. Brilliant. And if you guys can just let us know, did you manage to catch the first session? So the first session was on Tuesday. That was all about the estimating. It will make sense. Yeah, brilliant, Chris. Yeah, brilliant. Awesome. Because the first session is going to really lead into what Tara's going to talk through today, because exactly how she builds everything from an estimating point of view is how it will come through into the project management side as well. Um, the project management part of Buildxact is the wider part of the software because there's so many things. Estimating really, Tara, is price files, estimating, and
Yeah.
pushing the quote out really is with all the
Yeah.
in there. But
And it's one of the really crucial parts because a lot of
yeah,
people go, oh, just get a number out. But you really need to understand what your number means to then be able to run the job properly. So, yeah, putting a few little things in place, which we do, but then also how we manage those numbers in Buildxact. But then there's a few things that we do externally as well, where there might be a stopgap in what the software can do. We have a workaround for it
yeah,
as well. So it all integrates.
yeah, absolutely. And the first one I'm getting I think that should be up in about an hour or two. I think Stuart, you mentioned there about that on YouTube. So I'll once it's all up and running, I'll just get the recording emailed out to everyone so you'll be able to catch it, no problem. But yeah, the project management side, it's much wider because you've got schedules, you've got on-site mobile app, you've got customer portal, you've got cost tracking, you've got the zero
Mhm.
side, you've got variations, you've got invoicing, selections now inside of Buildxact. So it's a whole wide range. So we're not going to be able to dive into every single thing, but in the background, you guys might not be able to see them at the moment, but we've got Nadia from Exact Accounting. So she's going to be coming in talking through a little bit on the zero stuff with Tara and how all of that stuff works. So if you guys are a little bit miffed on how the zero stuff works, we've got you covered there. And then we've got Kate from who was one of our trainers from the Buildxact team, who can jump in and fill my knowledge blanks on on talking about some of the things like timesheets and stuff. So if you guys aren't aware, timesheets is free inside Buildxact if you're using a pro subscription. So get in and do it. It works a lot better. I know before it was rubbish in terms of how it used to work. It used to bring in loads of individual work orders. Now, if you've got a labor budget of 10 grand on a framing category, for example, it will tie into that labor budget, which obviously is important for your own budgeting purposes. So there's a bit to cover today. Obviously, guys, keep the questions coming in. I'll try and be as not interrupting Tara in terms of taking down tangents and stuff as possible, as much as possible. And then if I feel like that's happening on some of the questions, we'll push them out to the end and hop in at the end. If you can't make it, these sessions are always recorded. If you ever need them, just they're normally on our website or they'll be on YouTube. But please reach out to me if you need it. I'll pop my email address in here as well, so you guys all have it. Little tip: everyone at Buildxact's email is always first name, last initial at buildexact.com. Mine's an awkward one because I've got sort of two last names, but that's the email for me. So Tara, are we good to get going? Yeah?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Awesome.
Cool. I'll
Awesome.
just share screen two. And can everybody see that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's all up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. So on Monday's session, we ran through why we do certain things and set up our, estimates with an as per quote kind of item there and a bit of information. The reason is because when we then want to go and we create the job on here, and I'm going to assume that everyone knows how to go create, accept, create the job. send it to that. When we're going into our actual costing, all of these headings will come across. And we learned the other day about the 001. So I haven't done that on this yet, but this is the reason we keep those line items in there to bring that across and to put that content down there. But the other thing is, where's it? Here. It's so we can go render, for example, as per quote, and we'll have the quote number and the information there. And it's so we can just literally go click and go order one item. Super simple. In the actual purchase order component, one of my favorite things is these presets. And, depending on what sort of projects you're working on or your trades, you can have these set very detailed and make one bigger here. Yeah, basic or as detailed as you like. And this here is where they can find, any of the scope of works. If you've got a smaller scope of works, otherwise, make sure you're attaching your scope of works, documents that you're writing for the project. The contact numbers, call supervisor, no one ever does, but, you put it on there. And then also these indicative dates. But when you're doing things like this and you're sending this purchase order out, it's very important to list it as indicative because we all know schedules do change, but we want people to have the time that they've the time to allocate the resources based on what you're proposing at this time as well. Another really important thing is when you are issuing this out, set your actuals categories. And reason being, it's when we then have an invoice come through, and Nadia will talk about this later on about the two-way integration. It's really important to have your actuals category switched on because this is where it takes budget from. Otherwise, it's going to put money all the way down the bottom, and your screen will look like an absolute mess. You'll come up with a weird, number 2576, and then rendering and take budget. But we want to take it from the actual category that it's been allocated to. So very important to have that one there. And this button, show cost when printing, also super important. If you don't, you're sending a blank order, which is not ideal because, becomes an open letter for someone to invoice you whatever because you haven't given them the actual costing on there. The other thing, upload the quote, upload a scope, upload your standards for your purchase orders. This function is amazing. I love it because you can have all that content straight in there and send it off all in one thing without having to individually go through the actual, job detail stuff that's put on there. Okay, jump out of that one.
Once you get to the send, obviously, Tara, you can attach documents as well that are already loaded into your system. So guys, that's another thing. Make use of loading the documents into the document folder. It's not as utilized as it probably could be done. So build your templates out to load in all those documents, sub agreements, all that kind of stuff inside that area. And then when you hit send, pretty much anywhere that, I could be wrong in saying that, but I'm fairly confident, anywhere that you're able to send, you're able to go in and attach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so right now we've just got the purchase order item attached there, but on the other screen you then have, if you've attached things in there, they will come up here as well. You can click on and make sure that you're attaching that information on there. And again, I haven't saved a preset on here. It's super simple and honestly saves so much time. Please see attached PO, put in your payment terms. Another really important thing when you're sending a purchase order or you're setting an expectation with somebody to be doing business with you, set your payment terms. I know as a contractor, that's the first thing I look at. What are my payment terms? When do I put my invoices in? If you're a 14-day, all you need to write is submit invoices by first of the month to be paid by end of the month to be paid by that next 15 and vice versa. And by the 15th to be paid by that end of month. So just, those little things now save you a lot of time, but also a lot of that awkward admin time by people not, kind of knowing what the terms are. So
yeah. And just to kind of comment on a lot of the stuff that Tara talks about in the previous session and obviously in today, a lot of it is designed with process and efficiency in mind, like the way the estimate is structured, the way that comes into the job management side, the things you're putting in here. And, a lot of builders that we see they spend so much time working in the business and not on the business. And I think the more of these kind of like processes that you put in place, the more the business can function day to day without you being like on site all the time. And that's where we
Mhm.
see the builders that, I've been in part of like so many big group sessions and things like that. And you often see the builders that do the best are the ones that aren't just stuck in the weeds every single day and they can delegate all these sort of tasks, but that comes with really good processes. Those are the people that can, really sort of look at, niches and define their marketing strategy a lot better and all that kind of stuff. So these sort of
Mm.
things are really important to sort of enable you to take a step back and actually focus on working on the business rather than actually inside it.
Yeah, exactly. And just making everything uniform
Yeah.
becomes your business profile or your colloquial language that you use. If you want to say, yo, like do that. That's how you talk to your trades and suppliers, go for it. It's up to you. But yeah, very important to set that the presets because it does save you time and you can have a whole different list of them as you send out. The other thing as well is with purchase orders and sending that email out, I'll always do is send myself a copy. And the reason I do that is, and you just, create a file in your emails, a job folder, sorry, under that job and say purchase orders. And it's just simply that if you're somewhere and, someone says, oh, I didn't get that order, you can go, no, 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 go through email, send it straight out. And it's a good it's a it's a good stopgap for someone trying to get out of not having received something, but also it's a safety net for you because you go, oh my days, I actually didn't send it out. What do I do here? So it gives you a bit of time to, think about what your next steps are. But that's a really good button. And all you need to do, create a job folder under the job in your inbox and just store them under there. That's, set and forget. Another really good function on this as well, and I'm going to go back to the estimate screen really quickly because the way you set up your estimate is similar to how you want to run your project. Do your estimate, and then when you get to the actual component, you might want to reorder some of these based on how you actually need it to run. For example, some of your carpentry, you might move this down here, supervised consumables might go up top. And then that way you can set your actual schedule as well. This little T button over here creates a task. Oops, I don't remember that. Edit button. So yeah, it creates the task that you can then bring over to your job. Then I'll drop them down the bottom like that. So this one here, I just imported the standard template that Buildxact provides because I'm like, okay, cool, let's have a look at what this looks like. Gives you a good understanding if you've never built a schedule as well. This gives you a really good, what's my start, what's my stop, and all the gaps in between. Once you have built an estimate that you're really happy with and you like the structure, you can go in and build your own using that task function. We'll have a look here. So we brought that across. We can go edit, and then we can set all of the dates required. And what I was saying before about having that preset with, your proposed measure or rough in, install, slab fit off, whatever you want to call it. These are where you can set those dates. You can allocate it to builders or trades, sorry. You can allocate it to your trades and suppliers. So we'll chuck in Ali. This is where you capture your percentages of the job that's done. All of this, there's always method to the madness as well of what this all then translates to in the reporting function, which we'll go through on the dashboard, but that's probably quite analytical for maybe how some projects and builders want to run their companies, which is totally fair enough. So you would be referring more to your actuals categories to see I'm in the red or I'm in the green, or how much percentage do we have left of the job to complete. But yeah, these percentages in progress, finished, completed, great function. Again, it does require someone who is probably working in more of that, not so much maybe in it. You might have someone who's helping you drive this as a supervisor, or you yourself might have time to do that. But it is a really good function to put your resources towards because it's a very good visual of where a project lands.
Tara, with the schedule creation, do you normally advise people to build the schedule from the estimate, or do you suggest people have like a generic template that they have and they just adjust it based on the
Yeah,
specific?
so it's you can have your own generic. I think that's probably okay. It's just when you've got specific specialty things that you'll need to add in, you might just make those from a task. Click the T because really building is going to be, you know, I need a toilet on site all the way to handover, which is cleaning. It kind of always going to have those very similar stages in between, and you can just delete out what you don't need. But
Yeah,
once you've built a really good standard, template schedule, I would just rinse and repeat
yeah,
because
that would be mine.
yeah, that would be my word of advice on that because you can set all of your contacts, all of the reminder dates, your little messages that you want to put in there.
Yeah.
Do it once. It's annoying doing it every time.
Yeah, that's my
Yeah.
suggestion as well, guys, because the way you
Mm,
estimate isn't necessarily the way you're going to manage a project. Like there's a lot more, you might have individual tasks that might just have one line in Build Exact, and kind of going in and adding them in every single time is, a bit of a pain in the butt. So
yeah.
yeah, if you don't know, there's a template function there. I would probably just, have a template for each sort of major type of project you do, that you
Mm,
can just save it and just rinse and repeat it once it's fine tuned. It doesn't need to be 100% of the way there all the time, as long as it's gets you part of the way and you just go through and add and edit the things that you need.
yeah, exactly. It's just as long as it's got all the base content that you want.
Yeah. But even things
It's
like Carla, even things like colors and stuff, like having that set in a template so what your
mhm.
colors are going to be at certain stages and things like that. Is
Yeah, I would set mine based on a stage because one of my things is when I do build these is what's my stage claim? What am I doing to get my claim one? Because that's why we're here. We're
right.
building to get a claim to then make the money to then move on to the next section. But then what are all the things that need to happen in there? And you can go into as little or as much detail as you want. When we build out really big complex ones, we'll put in things like, make sure that the tile delivery, so the tiles are ordered by this date.
Yeah.
Because when we've been estimating, we know that there are 23-week lead time from Italy. So those are the questions you need to know kind of when you're estimating before you have to place an order. But then knowing that and where it sits in your schedule affects your stage claims as well. Yeah. And, this system's it's great for how easy it is to actually set stage claim percentage wise. If you're, doing a method A or B or C, depending on what your contract is, you might have just the standard percentages across the job. But if you're then doing the method C, you'll be doing it based on what the project calls for. And having this schedule is actually very helpful for that because you'll be able to see when you'll have particular trades doing portions on site, as well as when you need to pay your deposits for cabinetry or for the stairs. So you'll want to pay those or bring those claims forward so you're cash positive because we don't want to, we're not a bank funding someone's build. We're just utilizing that cash and being clever with it.
Yeah. Jeffrey's asked there, can the schedule integrate with MS Project or Smartsheets? Not directly, Jeffrey. That there might be a way of you pulling this out into a chat GPT or something to reorganize it to be, I don't know. But
Mm.
yeah, Kira's saying might be worth seeing if there's an API through Zapier. Yeah, there's probably a way to do it. It's just nothing that we directly support in making that happen.
Yeah,
Look,
that's a good question though.
my gut feeling, and this isn't being communicated by anyone at Build Exact to me, but my gut feeling is that there'll be a situation where you get an AI schedule being generated from the estimate. That is where I think this is going to end up in, and there'll be AI that will analyze the schedule as the job is being progressed, and when POs are done, it will start to notify you that things should be ticked off. That's just where, like logically, that's where I think we'll get to. Again, I haven't been communicated that this is what's going to happen, but that's just my logical brain going We've got Blue, we've got AI.
What I'm feeling is that you're manifesting that, because that actually sounds like a really good time if that could happen. So let's all put it out there.
Yeah,
That'd
I
be
think
amazing.
yeah, I think it's logical that that's gonna look at some point down the line. At some point, you'll just be able to talk to building that and say, do this, that, and the other, and it will do it all for
Yeah.
you. You won't have to go into a thing like those sort of technologies are already up and running in softwares all around the world. So
Yeah.
logically, you would imagine that will be something that we'll implement. It's just when we get to it, what's priority, etc., etc.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that's the importance of kind of having a schedule and setting those stage claims based on what you're actually needing from the project, not, you know, what the standard percentages are across it. All right, so we then go into things like your actual costings. Another, like one of the big things that we work with, because we do a lot of the contracts out with our builders as well as doing estimating. And one of the big things for us is the provisional sums and prime costs and monitoring that during a project, because a lot of people will actually put that to the side and not really think about it until the very end. And then you have this huge, mess of, oh, we've used this much of that budget, that's there. Someone owes me 150,000 and the client's going, well, I don't have that money. So, and it's our responsibility as the builder to be on top of that. So if you get in that position, we do mediate. So we've, sorted that out a lot, but it's our responsibility as builders to sort that. And when you're setting your estimate, you will click the little PSPC function that we saw the other day. Do I have one in here? There you go. So right here. And what we do it's called an adjustment. So we've given the client $870 worth of tile supply. And in here, so this is where I capture it separately to Buildxact. Can you guys see? Oops.
It's not, yeah, now it's working out, yeah, on screen now.
So, because we don't have a report function available that shows you what I'm drawing down on this. So we run a spreadsheet separate to our Buildxact, and it's all of this content that we create as the PC and the PS. And this also is just straight out of your contract. So your master builders or HIA, same stuff, same numbers. And all you're doing is just drawing down on it with an invoice number and an actual costing. Take that, and then you can see what's left over. Providing this to the client every time you wrap up a provisional sum or prime cost, it's a game changer, because it sets their mind at ease, and it also sets your mind at ease as to what your checks and balances are. So having this document, secondary to us then running the adjustments, and you do the adjustments the same, very similar to how you would do a variation. It's just clicking a different button, basically. So you're going to order 4 items. Just order. Oh. They're not working. Okay, help me out. Normally you can do an adjustment.
So you've just got to mark the estimate as accepted so that the variation option comes up. So if you just scroll up the top of your screen and set estimate to accepted on the right.
That's why it's so good having Kate on the.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
Just hiding in the shadows there, Kate. Thank you.
She is. Haven't done this a bajillion times myself, but it's like. So what we do up here, you'll see up here variation, adjustment. And so this then triggers a separate way of the system analyzing the numbers on a report, but then also, it's not a variation, just adjusting what's in the contract to, finalize that provisional sum. So we'll go tile supply, add in meter square, and we'll go 900. Again, very important to set your actuals categories, because whatever you're taking out, you want to put in. so that our, our overs and unders percentages on those categories make sense. And you'll give your markup back. So it's apples for apples. And then we can see what the difference is on there. So you can see here, that's your negative of what we're giving back. Then this is what we're charging. That becomes an adjustment. And then you submit that with your next outgoing invoice as well. Same thing you do with the variation, it's just adjusting the provisional sums. So it's just important to keep that in check as you're going through the project and not waiting till the very end, because it can be so very messy if you've had a lot of ins and outs as well.
Just while Tara's going through there, guys, you might notice that she jumped over selections. We are coming back to selections with Kate a bit later on. So if you are seeing that and you've gone, that's a new feature in Buildxact, haven't given it any time or any thought, Kate will be giving you a quick run through on how that works. It's not going to be a full run through of it, but just kind of giving you a heads up of how the system actually manages selections now. It's a pretty detailed module now.
Yeah, so we've got variations. You'll see this as an adjustment. Add it to your outgoing invoices, and yeah.
It's not allowing
You
you to
might need
edit.
to do a refresh, Tara.
Any idea why that green should normally be a darker green, right?
Yeah, correct. It's
Yeah,
definitely marked as accepted, right?
Yeah, unless I've added it to my first claim.
Yeah.
It's already on my first claim. There we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can then see what you've claimed, the percentage, and it adds it in through here. It looks like a variation, but it is actually an adjustment. So that's why it's important to have the spreadsheet, because they're two separate things for the client visually when they're looking at the project. So just part of one of them.
Do you just send that Excel sheet through every time, Tara?
Yeah, so at the very start, we'll use the contract information, add our Buildxact like a quote proposal in there as well. It forms part of it as appendix. And then this spreadsheet here will also be sent over with a stage claim schedule as part of the pack to the client. And this one here, it's basically the exact same format that you'd see in Buildxact, just in an Excel spreadsheet, so we can manually adjust it as the project goes on. And yeah, like I said, every time we confirm one of the provisional sums prime cost, we'll then give this to the client, say, hey, this is what we're looking like. Because they might not want to spend the whole 16K on plasterworks as that section. They might just go, nah, I want to put that whole thing back into my cabinetry. But visually being able to see this just goes, it's easier for them, / for us, because you already have to explain so many things intricately, ins and outs and numbers, that this was the easiest thing I found to do.
Yeah. Might just pause if we can, Tara.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm just scrolling up where we've got to on here. I think we covered the projects one. Deepak, can you build a critical path in the schedule for that? Don't know if we have critical path in there. Kate, can you chime in on that one?
Yeah, we do. I've just added the help guide into the chat.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Sorry, I'm not.
Which does also cover critical paths. The delay day question, you can delay it with automatic dependencies, but then you would need to most likely send another booking confirmation to your assignees who are completing the task, and let your client know. There's no automatic way of letting the client know that one. And in regards to the estimate versus actuals, you can find that report on the settings cog at the top of your actual costing screen.
Yeah, I'm really with anything like automatic, I'm really cautious about putting that in unless you're extremely process driven, because I think putting things in to happen automatically can result in things that aren't done correctly, just notifying too many people. So just be cautious of that. And is there a way to print a report for the job to send to the client that shows the estimate in full versus actuals by category? Yeah, sorry, Tara, you were already doing that, weren't you? So you can, anything that you've got that settings log in Buildxact, normally that allows an export. So yeah, you can do that. And again, guys, I'm not sure if you're able to join the first one, like just try popping some of this stuff into ChatGPT as well, in terms of like breaking it down a bit clearer. Whether or not you want to give the client this kind of full information is obviously up to you. And maybe commercial projects and things like that, but maybe there's a bit more call for that. Whereas Resi, you probably maybe want to steer away from.
Yeah, when you're doing, unless you're doing cost plus open book, you wouldn't want to give somebody this much information if you're doing fixed claims, because there's, all the things that we put in the back, too many questions. But for cost plus, this is what we use as a document. We heavily rely on that to make sure, every time we're doing a stage claim, that we can have those discussions with the client, say, hey, look, we're going up to 75% of this, but I know that we've got another 35% of work to complete. This is going to go over. So at least you're gearing that conversation and it's not a bit of a rude shock. Cost plus, it happens, but it's always it's our responsibility to inform the client of how we're tracking on their budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Gabby, same thing. Like we don't have that by default. Just follow-up question about a summarized by category version. Again, I would probably. I mean, there might be a way. Is there, Tara? I don't think, as far as I'm aware.
There is
in the sense of
to Excel, which you can apply filters to.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, so that one is great because you can manipulate it any way you like. You can see how much you've spent so far on labor versus materials, for example, categorize it, and it will also show committed costs, actual costs, and variances. So it's basically just a flat file export of everything in your actual costings.
Yeah, I would honestly you could probably just, like I said, just paste that into ChatGPT and say summarize the category ones. It should work.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And then zero project, you run zero for estimate that you can add markups and stuff. Yeah, Darwin, does Buildxact provide a report format for internal reporting and for clients?
Internal reporting in the sense of if you've got overruns, extras, those kind of components. So like when we're analyzing that, that's probably more that kind of report would be your internal.
Yeah,
but you'd have to, making one for the client external. You'd be printing the same thing and either printing it up in Excel or just each time you do a stage claim, labeling it as, claim 7, this is where we were sitting, then claim 8. So that way you've got the historical reference each time of what that looks like. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Reckon we move on from there, Tara?
Yeah, cool. I'm actually kind of wrapping up with what I'd probably want to share with everybody without going like too hectic into it. The importance of why we set all these little things up, and especially from your purchase order all the way to then, raising the variation or an adjustment and making sure your actual categories are lined up, is because in the background of that, your zero integration, the two-way integration, which Nana, you will talk about very soon, having all of that set up will make that a lot more streamlined. So, everything we're doing, streamlined, less margin erosion.
Important to note as well, guys, from a financial side, I said Nadia is on here from Exact Accounting. If you, I won't ask Tara to do it because I think this is her working file and I don't want to broadcast anything out to a recorded webinar. But if you're inside your dashboard screen, you can go into the financial reporting section in there. And as long as you're doing line by line cost tracking, you'll get some pretty hefty financial reports coming from it. A lot of people aren't aware that it's there. This was actually built with Exact Accounting. In my opinion, they're easily the best bookkeeping accounting business in Australia for builders. So they built all of this stuff separately, and then we basically rebuilt it with them inside of Buildxact. So you get some incredible amount of financial data. You do have to be really good with your hygiene in terms of like entering in things and cost tracking line by line. You can't just plug it all into a category and hope that module is going to work. It's designed to show you real detail in there. But I think from here, Tara, do we want to move into the Xero talk and how that side of it works? Probably a good segue, Nadia.
Absolutely. I'll stop sharing now. Thank you.
Awesome. Hey, Nadia.
Hi, morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. So I'm just going to very briefly take you through the steps, specifically the integration. So I'm just going to share my screen. Just bear with me 1 second. Can you see that?
A South African and English and an Aussie.
An Aussie, yes.
I can't hide the South African in me. Okay, so the main thing, like Tara said, is the integration settings. That's where you basically have to start out to make sure everything flows properly. So obviously I'm just going to focus on Xero. We mainly work with Xero. We don't really have any clients or many clients on MyOps, specifically clients using Buildxact. So if you go into your integrations, it's important to just go double check the settings there. And the way that I'm going to show it to you now is that way that we set it up for our clients if we were managing the accounts. It might be slightly different if you're doing it in-house. So just keep that in mind. Firstly, Buildxact to Xero integration. Obviously, you want to make sure that all the invoices you process in Buildxact will go into Xero. So you need to just switch that on. And then all these parameters needs to be set, what accounts, what ledger accounts, whether it includes GST, all that sort of things. In Xero, we use tracking categories, which is the job code. Sorry, Julian, did you want to say something?
So that's sales invoicing, guys. So when you're invoicing out of Buildxact for like to the client, that's here. And then the second section is the bills.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just going to take you through all that stuff. So the job tracking is very, very important. So for that two-way sync to work properly, you need to have your tracking category set up in Xero. I'll show you that now. But you need to be able that it tracks that and it matches those tracking categories. Once that's all set up, just save it. Then the next step is sort of where we come in quite heavily as well. The Xero to Buildxact settings. That's the two-way. You need to make sure that in order to track your costs properly, you have to allocate here which ledger accounts or cost categories will pull in. So if you receive a bill in Xero, for instance, you record it through Xero through your accounts, it's for subcontractors, you have to make sure that you've got that category set up, that ledger code, so you can select. And this pulls in from Xero. Once it's linked to Xero, it pulls in from your chart of accounts. So just make sure if you do add a new ledger account in Xero to your chart, just make sure that you go and add it there as well. It will not automatically pop up. You have to select it, but it will come in on the drop down list. Okay. Next thing, make sure that you track your job as well. And what we also do is we switch on this. So there's a two-layer tracking categories in Xero, and this is the job category, this or within the estimate, the category that you also want to switch on. And I'll go and show you what that looks like in Xero quickly. Just going to move this aside. Just want to move that aside. So if you go to your tracking categories in Xero, and it's very important as well that the name is exactly the same. Otherwise, it will not map. You have to have it exactly the same. So we've got the two layers there. We've got the job code. What a lot of people like to do is they like to add the address as well. Just keep in mind that if you do add the address or the name of the job next to that J code in the tracking category, you have to go and edit the name of the job in Buildxact to also include that. Otherwise, it won't map.
Exactly the same, Nadia.
Exactly the same. So for
lowercase, uppercase, spaces, commas, everything, yeah?
Exactly. Spices, it's case sensitive, the lot. So I just copy and paste the name. That way I make sure it's 100%. So that's the first layer of tracking. Second layer of tracking is obviously your categories within the estimate. Now we've played around with it quite a bit. We've tested it where we've got just the category name, but we realize we actually need to have that code as well, the category number, that in order for it to map properly. And we've played around with it a little bit. I'll show you what it looks like. Once your settings is all set up, if you were to enter a bill through Xero, so there's two ways to enter your costs and get them into Buildxact. You can either manually go and enter those bills directly into your estimate as actual costs and then attach the PDF document. We use an OCR system called Dex that integrates with Xero. It reads the invoice, it pre-fills the data, it goes via Xero into the software. This is I'll show you just a little chart of how it flows. So this is the OCR system Dex. It flows the bill into Xero. It gets coded and it's mapped through the tracking categories. It goes into Buildxact. And from there, we can match it to a purchase order or we can create an order. Just a very quick rundown there. So I've done two test bills just before this webinar to show you, one for materials, one for subcontractors. So I've just created this one in Xero. It's very important that you allocate the job category there or the job name and the category. So it's really, that's going to track it and map it through to Buildxact. It will automatically then sync into the jobs. I'll just go back to the steps again, jobs, imported bills, and it will sit there. See how it already pulls in the job name? It will pull in the job, it will pull in the category as well. Now, this is sort of where you come in as the project administrators. You have to allocate the item because we don't track items in Xero, and Xero only has 2 levels of tracking. So this is where you're going to have to enter the item on that category. If you're going to allocate it to an existing purchase order, so you can, there's two ways to allocate those costs. You can match it to an existing purchase order. I'm just going to pick any one. This is just test examples anyway. This is where you can match it to that order. Just be careful what it does. It actually duplicates. It will bring in the bill as well as whatever was on that PO. So you're going to have to remove any sort of duplication it might pull in. You have to delete that extra line item. So let's say for argument's sake that the PO was exactly 8 hours of labor at the same cost. I would just delete the second line and I would save and close it. Once I save and close it, it will go onto your estimate as an actual cost.
Sorry to interject on this, Nadia. Do you have a workaround for that particular item? I have spoken to Kate about this and other people might have had the same thing, but you might actually know the workaround.
For when it creates the duplicate?
Yeah, because, you know, we might have $500 in there for painting. In the painting, he's only taking $250 out of it, so he's doing a 50% claim. It duplicates it, but it doesn't take it from the actual budget. So have you got a workaround for that?
No, it's quite manual still, but I believe Buildxact is working on it because we're communicating with the developers, and as we pick up things, we let them know, and then they work on it. So I believe they are working on it. So we have escalated that to them. Hopefully that'll be soon.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And then, of course, if you don't have a PO, because you're not going to have a PO for everything, right? If you don't have a PO in the system, you can just create the order. And once you create that order, it will suck it into the actual cost. You just put in the details. I'm not going to go through this now, but you put in all the details, you save it. Once it's saved, it will actually go into your job and it will be sitting on your actual costs in your estimate. So let's say it was there. And then you will be able to see how the actual costs filter in, and you'll be able to see those bills that you've allocated. Is there any questions so far before I continue?
There's a few. I reckon we might hold off until the end of this little section, Nadia, because I reckon if we load the questions, it'll prompt more, and we'll just end up kind of like
Yeah. Look, I'm rushing through it now. We can definitely go into it a lot more detailed. And if there's anybody that needs specific help, they can definitely reach out to me. Anybody on my team, we can have a look at your file. Because everybody's really specific. So we'll look into your file and see how we can improve the integration for you. So not a problem. This is just a bit of a quick run through. Yeah. So the other thing is with the timesheets. Would you like me to show you the timesheets, or is
Yeah. I mean,
not
Kate's as well. Yeah. Just to answer Sakira, we are actually going to be planning one where this is a full webinar again. We did it like what, a year and a bit, maybe a year ago, Nadia?
March. I think it was March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to do it again with a full like hour session or whatever it is. So Kira, just keep an eye out for that. I'm hoping we'll get Nadia and the team on February time, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem.
I
Yeah, we'll do it.
I like the confidence in your response there, Nadia.
No, it's all good. I'm happy to do it. It's like muscle memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just very quickly go through the timesheets as well. This is a pretty new function of Buildxact, especially the app. So I didn't have the app on my phone. I was going to try and enter some timesheets to show you an example. But the main thing here is to make sure that when you're using time tracking and creating work orders from your timesheets, that you've got the correct rates set up for your employees as well. Now, this is your burden cost for the company, including super, including potentially work cover, payroll tax. It's all calculated by a percentage per employee and added on because that's your burden cost on the job. And I have entered, I've actually set myself up as an employee just to show as an example. This is the rates that I've set up, right? I've got my ordinary rate, including super, hourly rate, and that's my default. And then I've got my overtime times 1.5, no super, because there's no super on overtime. Overtime times 2, no super, right? So this is what it's going to cost you on the job overall, not just the employee's ordinary rate. So it's really important to have that set up correctly as well. And again, we can look at it for you guys if you need any help with it, with your individual employees and how they're all set up. If you are using Deputy, obviously your timesheets will sync in if you've got that set up. We've had a few things they come through. We actually have a test. We did a test a while ago with Deputy, and these are still from that old test that we did. So it comes in and you can also select it and allocate it to the item within that job, within that category on the estimate. But the item allocation is manual. You're going to have to do that yourself. It's not going to sync automatically, but at least you can sync the job and the category. It is definitely best practice to also allocate items to have more accurate reporting.
Yeah.
I do have some clients that are smaller builders that don't really mind the category, the item. They're more worried about the job and the category, and then offset the net within each category. So it really depends. But best practice is item tracking as well.
Yeah. And like I said, guys, with that bit at the start, all of that will help if you're trying to get the most out of the financial reporting module that we've got. Like I said, the Exact Accounting Help Build, you have to do line item tracking. It's not going to work because the whole idea is that you can see budgeting where you're at, what's yet to spend and things like that in it. So yeah, try as much as you can to put those into the actual line item.
Yeah, you will definitely get better. And our partner at Exact, Dan, he's the guy who developed the reports.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get him on the next webinar and he can dive into the reports a bit more. That's not really my area of expertise. Yeah. This is sort of where I work a lot in with the data capturing and the allocations. When you're going to enter a timesheet, so most people will probably use the mobile app. If an employee didn't enter a timesheet, you know they've worked, you can add a manual work order from the timesheet here or just directly on the work order where you can select the employee. I'm just going to do a quick, right? The job, the category, I can select whatever item it is, the hours, you can include a break, the date, so it was yesterday, and then also the rate. This is what we've set up.
No, just confirming here, this is if you're doing it manual, like if you're entering in, someone's giving you they sent you a text message of all their hours for the week kind of thing.
Yeah, if they didn't use the app properly.
Yeah,
Um,
a lot of people don't like using apps and stuff. So
Yeah, what we also see a lot, and I unfortunately don't have an example of that, but when we do the next one, I'll try and get some more data in this test company. Um, we do see a lot where employees do use the app, but they don't allocate the correct rate. So we do need to do a little bit of adjustment before we then push that through to the work order. Just to make sure it's allocated to the correct rate. And then the hours also and the pay rate also match what's processed through payroll. So yeah, that's just a very quick run through of that. But we'll have to go into more detail on another webinar. Is there any other questions on this?
there's a few there. Kate, do you just want to hop on and just show how it links into the actual job? 'Cause I think you've got a screen ready to show, if that's cool. And I'll just quickly go through, I'll just quickly have a look at where the questions are.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, should I stop sharing, Kate?
Oh, I can just replace, that's okay.
Yeah, she should be able to take over.
Uh,
And we'll finish off the questions on the zero, Nadia, and then we'll jump into maybe some of the other bits and bobs like selections and stuff, if that's cool with you.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just booted me out. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is an imported timesheet that has come in from the Buildxact on-site app. As you can see, the staff using the app have the ability to select the job, the category, also down to the line item. You can see the asterisks here. They need to select at least these two, and then you can adjust those. As Nadia was saying, you can have pay rates set. So this one is showing because I set it as a default, but I can obviously change that there as well. And if they've added any notes in here, we can see those there as well. And they will also pull through because this is going to then convert into a completed work order. So if we then go create work order, it disappears from here and it's going to go into our job, into our actuals. And that one I think was robes, or was it labor here? So then you have your orders here. So you can have multiple orders obviously against an item. And if you look at your work orders, it'll also be clear that it's come through as a timesheet as well. I did notice, just quickly to show you, there was a question about reporting. So we do have timesheet reports that you can generate. You can filter it by jobs or contacts. And I know I haven't added any in here for a while, so I'll just go back a bit. So you can generate this report and then you can obviously export it to Excel. I know that there is some apps that it will import into, if you can import into the payroll. I'm not sure about Xero. I think that is a manual thing, but you can obviously apply filters and everything to see once it's exported as well, how many hours each person has done.
Yeah, I know it was initially discussed about pushing this to Xero, which I think eventually we will have that we'll be able to put Buildxact timesheets into Xero.
I know there is a lot more work coming on the timesheets.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to give too much information because I don't know for sure, but I would assume at some point that will be pushing to Xero for your timesheets as well. So
yes,
super important to get these guys. Yeah.
If you were to push these into a cost plus job, they would automatically appear in your outgoing invoices for you to forward on to your customer.
Awesome. If it's cool, Kat, I'm just going to quickly zip through these questions that we've got while Nadia's still kicking around there. I just want to see where we've got to. So Leon said, what if one invoice has materials for more than one category of the job?
Do you want me to cover that, Nadia? Or?
Yeah, go ahead. It's fine.
Sure. Let me just find one. So in that instance, you would need to have the items separated on the bill in Xero, and then they would come in as two separate line items here. So as you can see here, this one is for ground floor framing, this one's for fixing carpentry, but I can add them to different jobs. So I can say that's for this job, this is for that job, and I can create two purchase orders rather, for the same bill to go to different jobs.
Awesome. Thanks, Kate. Kylie, I think this is a Xero one, so Nadia, hopefully this one's for you. Would spend money items for job ID import into Buildxact?
Only if you've allocated it to the job. Yes. You must allocate it to a job.
Awesome. So Ryan's saying we used the Xero integration, but we stopped using it because we found it confusing for the bookkeeper, as the invoice numbers in Xero didn't align with the invoice numbers provided through Buildxact, as it uses job number to track. Is there a way to change the Buildxact invoice numbers to align with Xero invoicing? I think there
Is that for sales invoicing though? It sounds like it's sales invoicing. Yes. Yeah, you can change it in Xero, and then if you do, usually if you enter your Buildxact sales invoice number in Xero, it should then build the sequence from there. But I can look into that for you.
Also on the Buildxact end, we can have it start from a certain number for you.
Yeah, I had a query come through the other day about that, and they wanted it to reset at a certain number to match up. So we can do that on our end. You just need to email us to let us know. Lindsay, we've struggled to get some of the team on the timesheets. Is Deputy more comprehensive? So Deputy is a time and rostering app, so they will have more features. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nadia, on this, but they've got like geofencing and all that kind of stuff in there.
Yep.
I think it's quite affordable for what it does. Obviously, it's another app. It's another paid subscription to add on to it rather than just using it for free. Where possible, you ideally want to get these guys using mobile apps and stuff as early as possible, because the more features we put out, it's going to make it more and more user friendly, obviously. I think we might just jump in. Kate, if you're still on. Yeah, you are. Do we want to go through selections? Tara, is there anything you want to jump in before we go into selections? I've just got a message.
No. I'm all good.
Yeah, I think hopefully I'm pronouncing the name right. The Blue AI stuff was all done in the previous session, so we'll get that emailed out to everyone, the recording of it. But yeah, that's Blue at the moment is all on the estimating front, not the job management. That will obviously happen at some point, but yeah, we'll get the recording out so you can rewatch it.
Okay, so selections. Some of you might not have noticed that new button over here in the job management side of things. So basically, if you're in an estimate and you mark any item, let me just find some, as a prime cost or a provisional sum, then they will automatically push over into your selections for you. If you don't want to pass this through to the client, you can just delete any that are not relevant, and you can, you can add your own manually as well. So this links in with the client portal. So for example, if we have appliances or tiling and we want them to choose from a selection, or we just want to give them an allowance, we can say, okay, we've got a dishwasher allowance for 3,000, and we can give a deadline as well. And then we can add options. So we can give them a couple of options, put in the price of each, and then ready to share. So then up the top here, we would go share all, and that will then push through to our client portal. And in the client portal, there is an area for selections. So here are some that have already been sent through. Under appliances, you can see previously I've done dishwasher one as well. So they can then select these items, but they can also request their own. So this client here has decided they want this one from Harvey Norman, so they can request an item as well. When they have made those choices, or they've told you over the phone, you can put in that yourself. We can say, all right, they've gone with this option, which was maybe 2,800. We can just manually go and mark that as selected. Quantity in, that might help. Once there is an item selected, if we scroll back up the top, we can then add a variation for that. And as Tara mentioned before, we can convert that into an adjustment. So down here, we will see that there is a variation there. And it has the original allowance amount, and the selected amount, which then is a difference of 200. So again, you can change that to be an adjustment or leave it as a variation. And once that has been marked as accepted, then that will reflect back into your actual costings. And also, obviously, you'll be able to credit that difference back.
And this can all be templated out, Kay, right? So you can go in and set.
Yep, absolutely. So in the selections, same as specifications and schedules, you can set templates. There's one with a brilliant unique name there that I've been playing around with in testing. So you can absolutely have that set as well.
So basically, is it the first time you do it, put a bit of time into it, save it?
Yeah, exactly. Just as in the first time you're building out your specs or the first time you're building out your schedule, save it. And then you can just use that and keep tweaking it, resave it as another one. And then it's all ready for you to go.
Awesome. Brilliant. And that will obviously come through from do you have it ready to show in the customer portal? Is there something in there that you could show, or is it not set up?
Yeah.
Sorry, just as you ended the screen sharing,
that's okay.
I dropped that on you.
Yes. So in the customer portal, they have this selections area here. So these are all the different categories that we have sent selections for. And yeah, you can see here there's some basins, and they've actually selected this one, so they can see what they've selected as well. Or they can request an item, so they can put in their own item. They've gone and done a bit of shopping. And there's those. So obviously you can add images as well. So we did used to have selections sort of sitting under the specifications, but we've pulled it out into its own area because it just made more sense for it to be once the quote had been won.
Yeah, so I know I'm not going to sit here and say this customer portal is like going to do absolutely every single thing you need it to do, but at the moment, for what it does do, I think it does that specific things quite well. Selections are nice and easy. At the moment, the customer portal isn't going to be one of those things where you go in and every single feature is going to be there. Obviously, we're trying to put in the features that we think people are going to have the most value out, especially new features that come in. But yeah, the selections I think is a pretty good way of doing it. Also, communication, getting people to like message you and stuff through there. Now people I speak to that are on site on a roof and stuff like that. I'm like, just get your customer to put all the communications through there, because then that's one of those ways that working in the business rather than on the business, other way around, not having your phone being the point of that everyone gets through. At least if you've got something in through the messaging and the customer portal, you can actually manage it all through there. So anyone can jump in and see those messages inside of Buildxact. And now that you've got unlimited users in Buildxact, you can get everyone in your bloody team in to go in and respond. You don't have to pay for anyone, in particular, like additional users.
And you can preview it as well. So it protects you, but it also builds trust for the client in you as well, because it makes it more professional. They don't have to search through their emails to try and find invoices. And you can, when you preview, you can see if they've opened things or signed them as well. So if, hopefully this doesn't happen, but if someone came to you and said, I never received that invoice, you can say, well, you did, and you've actually viewed it, kind of thing. So it protects both sides, I guess.
Yeah. So Kira's saying, is there a way to view the client portal from the builder's end? Not like direct. Oh, there is now. Okay.
Yes. So let me just share again. I'm sharing too quick. Oh, wrong screen. Sorry, guys. So you'll need to be in the estimate. So obviously, if you create a standalone job without an estimate, you can't use the client portal, because we need to link a lead to an estimate and then create the job from there. But on your estimate details page, down the bottom where you link your lead, there's the client portal area below where you can see who you've invited. So you can invite multiple people just by adding additional individuals to the client card. But here you can click preview. So if you haven't done that before, it will ask you to log in. So you just log in as yourself. I'll create a login. It will just be, the only difference will be like this version here. It's recognizing me as the builder. So my messages are grayed out and I can't go and accept quotes or variations pretending to be the customer. But it will look a little bit like this. As you start building up more people using it, you'll see all of your clients' projects in there that you can go in and click on any of them.
Shows how up to date I am on that feature, Kate.
Sorry?
Shows how up to date I was on that feature. I think that's most of it. Was there anything else, Kate, that you wanted to just jump through, or?
There's just the awareness of digital signatures, I guess, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
So we now have digital signatures for both the quote letter as well as variations. So if you wanted to send a variation to your client and ask them to sign it, we'll just quickly just create one here, and I'm just going to do.
And when you say digital signatures, Kate, this is different to digital acceptance of what we had before.
Correct. So we used to have digital acceptance where they would click a button and it would then mark your estimate as digitally accepted, which you would then still need to go and change it to accepted for that to be able to go into the actual costings to be invoiced. But now we have the digital signature. So if we go and save and share this, we have an option of standard or digital signature. Now, they don't need to be using the client portal. They can sign it through email as well. So you just make sure you've got your recipients, whether you want to share it to the portal or not, customize your email as usual. Just get rid of this fake email here and share that away. Now, rather than going through and waiting for it to load in the client portal, I will show you a little sneaky. If we go to our communications and our emails, we can see that variation here. So this is the email that our client would have received. So they can then go here and go view and sign. Exactly the same process for the quote letter. And they can download it and they can digitally sign it. So they'll just do the little squiggle and sign and accept that. What that will do, and it takes a couple of seconds. Just going to move Julian's head out of the way so I can close that. And back into the job. So we've had a variation. I'm not sure if you saw that. Digitally accepted. So you'll get notified as well when that happens. And if we go into our variations, we can see that's automatically been marked as accepted. And in our job details page, so if you're doing the quote letter, it'll be on the estimate details page. But down here we have digital signatures. So this is where anything that's been signed will come in and be stored down here. It'll be date stamped and you can view it. So you can see the signature here, but it will also add a page that's date stamped with the signature at the back. If it was the quote, if you had it in draft status, would automatically change to accepted as well.
Perfect. Yeah, that was a highly requested feature, guys, for ages. Digital signatures, so make the most out of it.
Yeah. The only other thing that will take about 2 seconds that a lot of people aren't aware of, if you are using the on-site app, once you have your schedule set up and you have assigned people to your tasks, under the settings cog here, you can now sync that with the Buildxact on-site app so that they can see the schedule in the app, because that was a very highly requested feature. It'll only show the tasks that have got people assigned to it, and in the app they can filter it to just see their own tasks, as well as the bulk booking confirmation. So anyone that's been assigned will show up in here, and you can send a bulk email. So they'll individually get an email and they'll be asked to accept or decline the task. And if we had, for example, sent this one, I've got to find where that task is. There we go. There's a little blue dot here. I can see that's been sent. and under here that's showing as sent. If I then go and make a change to that, that goes back to unsent. So I need to let them know that there's been changes. The other ability that they have inside the app is to toggle the progress as they're going so that it'll automatically update the progress in the web version for you.
Perfect. I wasn't aware of that last bit.
Fairly new.
Yeah. So it's good to have Kate on here because she's in this every single day.
Yes.
Questions and everything. So, yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, guys, we haven't gone through the full run through of the mobile app. There's a fair bit in there, and we'll always get questions on, the mobile app, and the mobile app is getting better every release that gets updated into it. If you are finding yourself where you're on site and you want to have more of the Buildxact, the normal Buildxact functionality, on a mobile thing, my recommendation, I know it's something you can get a $150 tablet. I would just keep it in your car and use that. That's how a lot of people do it. They just have a tablet in there, and it'll run the full Buildxact on a web-based thing because obviously it's a web-based program. That'd be my recommendation. The app will obviously get better over time, but for right now, Amazon, $150 tablet. I've got one for my kid. It's one of those Redmi Xiaomi ones. Works really well for all the videos and the games and stuff. It'll run Buildxact easy. So, but like everyone's just left me. I'm here on my own now. I feel like I'm going into a horror movie or something and going to a dark horror.
Jules, I'll turn my video back on for you. There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
There was a lot in there, Tara, wasn't there? That I said this session was going to be one of those ones that was just a lot more broad because estimating is very specific on the estimating costings and most people get the takeoffs. It's not the hardest thing to figure out, but the estimate costings is the detail, and then showcasing that information in a quote. Whereas
I learned heaps from that just then too. It's great.
Yeah. There's so much, and I'll reiterate it as well, guys. Like there's so much in terms of like how Tara structures things that is all based around like systems and processes in your business, and making sure that people don't make mistakes, or if they do, it's things are documented a bit easier. So hopefully there was a lot of value that you guys found in that, and Kira, watching it back a few times, there's a lot in there. Like I said, I think you mentioned that, Kira, the zero session alone could have been an hour long. And we've run that before. I think it was an hour and a half the last time we ran it, when it was like the full Dex stuff into setup, into Zero, into Buildxact and all that kind of stuff as well. And I think the reason we pushed on the Zero 2A integration, not the others, I think it's like 85, 90%. I could be wrong, Kate. All Zero. Obviously, a lot of people are still on, MYOB and QBO, and I used to work at MYOB, so I don't want to like knock at MYOB too much, but it's just everyone uses Zero now.
We have had a lot of our customers switch from MYOB to Zero just purely because of the two-way sync.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is just around like, how to use it. It's like, it's just that thing of like going, getting up and doing it. But I mean, if it helps you on the two-way integration, and Zero is generally better in terms of like connecting with loads of other apps. Like the thing with MYOB is that they had a desktop system and they ran it and they said, we're not going to integrate with anyone. We're going to build it all ourselves. We're going to charge you double for it. And in the end, they realized they had to do it. And in that time, Zero had already just jumped up. Now, did you have a question, or is it just?
No, I just wanted to add to that, when a lot of people think that the conversion from another accounting software over to Zero is maybe too overwhelming or too big a task. We do it daily. We do so many conversions from other software into Zero. We've got a process bedded down. It's really just very quick to do. Probably it takes us a week to get that done, and you can continue trading in Zero from day one. It won't affect any of your operations whatsoever.
Absolutely. I don't think we've got any questions that we've missed so far, and we're kind of like we've gone a bit over time compared to what we did for the session on Tuesday. So I might try and cut this if we can. So lots of questions on the recordings. We'll get the recording done. Zoom takes a little while just to process it, and then we'll get the recording link up. I should have the other one loaded into YouTube by now, I'm hoping. So I'll get that link sent out, and ideally I'll get this one up and running as quickly as possible into YouTube and get them both sent out at the same time. So you'll get that fairly shortly. in your email. I'll try and send it from my email. So you keep an eye that's coming from me. But I don't think there's any other questions, guys. Thank you all for jumping on. Sorry, I say guys as like
Thank
sometimes people
you.
get annoyed with. But thank you so much for jumping in. That was awesome. Three superstars there. I definitely wouldn't have been comfortable talking through anywhere near the detail that any of them did. So, Kate, thank you. Obviously, from a Buildxact point of view, guys, book training if you need help. Book into the daily Q&A sessions. They're really useful just coming in. Like we see a lot. I go to events sometimes and I'll see people like, oh, can you do this? I'm like, yeah, we've had it for 3 years. Just ask us the question and we'll tell you how to do it. Get in, try the AI features, trial them out and just see how you go with them. We had a session just before, whole team, and it's just ordinary people, not builders, not trades, doing the AI.
I've got to
Tara
shoot.
did it.
I'm sorry.
You've got to go.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thanks,
guys. I'll
Tara.
talk to you soon.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
But yeah, go in and try it out. It works really well. Thanks, Nadia, for the whole zero
Pleasure.
stuff.
I'm going to drop my email address in the chat if anyone wants to reach out to us.
That'd be awesome.
Happy to have a chat.
That'd be awesome. And any feedback, guys, like please just let me know. We obviously run these sessions and we hope that you guys get value out of it. And I think you do, but if you feel like we should talk about something different or something additional or more detail, let us know. Also, like I said, we're going to try and run the 01 early next year with a full detailed run through. So just keep an eye out for that.
And also just to add quickly, I believe there's now a button on your dashboard in Buildxact at the top where you can connect with the team, and that will show you through to the links for our daily Ask Me Anything webinars.
Awesome. Appreciate that, Kate. Awesome, guys. Thanks for joining,
Thank
for
you.
tuning in. Really appreciate having you all on and giving your time out so close to Christmas.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.